Very good evening to one and all gathered here. I welcome you all for Module 6, Friction, from the same subject Applied Mechanics. So let us go with the basic concept of friction under Applied Mechanics. Let us simply understand what do you mean by the term friction, and then we will see the factors influencing friction, what are the different types of the friction, and practical application for each types and classification. So this and all we are going to see in the today's presentation. So first let us go with the problem statement. Consider a rigid block which is resting on the flat surface. Let P be the applied force given on the rigid block. So due to the applied force acting on the rigid block, so here you can see the friction which induces between the lower surface of the object and the flat surface region. So due to that, some amount of force is being generated. So that is frictional force is equal to mu. Mu is the limiting value of proportionality, the coefficient of friction. So based on the applied load, so we can able to try to limit the range of uh, the friction which is developed between the two region. So this can be mathematically referred F equal to mu into N. Okay, where N is nothing but the normal force which is acting perpendicular with respect to the direction of the applied force. So now what is friction in simple language? So friction is a phenomenon which considered to be a resistive action which mechanically acts on a body, any physical body, which is kept in contact with any other surface medium. Thereby we call as a friction. So friction will always act in opposite manner or opposite motion, opposite to the physical motion of any object. So let us take an example. When you are trying to move a rigid block which is kept on the table surface due to the applied force, the block does not move. So due to some restriction. So this type of friction is a static friction which does not allow the block to move. Instead, it will take the same position under resting condition. In the same place it will withstand. So static friction. It tries to balance the applied force. What are the general factors which affect the friction characteristics on any mechanical medium subject to dynamic motion? There are two basic variables taken into account. One is the characteristics of the surface. You say a smooth surface. In that, the friction coefficient will be very low, far low, compared to the rough surface. How friction generates due to the imperfection, irregularities present over the surface, the tomography of an object. Next thing, according to the magnitude of the force, and also in addition to that, the surface imperfection. So due to that, the friction that will tend to occur more or less. These are the two things, the factors which affect the friction. Next, what causes friction? Irregularities present between the two surfaces. This can be represented by diagrammatic illustration. The surface is not plain, grounded, flat. Instead, it is a very undulated that is irregular surface. Okay, lot of imperfection. So here we can define the concept of friction by considering such type of irregular or imperfection surfaces. What are the types of friction? So continual friction, so sliding contact friction, when the two machine elements are subjected to move relative to one another. You can take a piston connecting rod. It's the best example for sliding friction, and friction due to mechanical motion and fluid resistive friction. So now we will further see the types classification of friction. First one is static friction. So when the object is subject to rest in one particular point of area, it's called as a static friction. To take an example, night lamp or a table lamp, which is kept static resting on the same place of region. This is one simple basic example for static friction. Next one, sliding friction. When two elements or objects moving relative to one another by producing sliding motion, reciprocating motion, we call that as a sliding friction. You take sliding of a block across a floor surface, horizontal flat floor surface. The next type is a rolling friction, and it is considered to be one of the most weakest kind of friction among other remaining types as compared to them. You take motion of a ball moving on the ground, moving a wooden log on the ground, wheels of a moving vehicle. Okay, with reference to the road track surface. These are some of the real examples of rolling friction. And the next one, fluid friction. So the friction which creates by allowing the fluid medium to pass into the channel. You take, for example, water flowing into the pipeline. It is one of the best examples for fluid friction. Water flowing into the pipeline and the water gets discharged by passing the water between the blades of the turbine, hydraulic turbine. So fluid friction. Next one, flow of ink inside the fountain pen. So due to the flow of ink, only we are able to write on the paper very smoothly, gently. So friction due to the liquid motion. So these are the different classification of friction in the existing literature. Now, just physical mapping diagram for the kinds of friction that is shown by means of illustration, graphical illustration for your kind reference. So with this introduction, I thank each and every one of you. So kindly share the following link to your close contact. So in the next meeting, we will have the quantitative problem solving methodology under the same topic, friction. It will be taken as a continuity in module 7. So thank you, Ananda, present here.